Hi everyone, I am so excited to be bringing you this video today. We are going to be restoring this beautiful antique French mirror that I purchased in this very sad state for only $10 at an estate sale. We're going to transform this into such a beautiful piece, and by the end of this video, you'll know how to do the same thing with any piece that you might come across on your thrifting travels. So the first thing we're going to do is assess the damage here. I do have a piece that had fallen off, and I had put it in a bag and taped it to the mirror to make sure I didn't lose it. So we're going to glue this piece in place just using tacky glue, and then we're going to see what pieces we need to replace once this section is put back where it belongs. Okay, now we can see what's actually missing here. There's a spot on the right and there's a spot on the left. So I'm looking at the existing pieces to see what parts most accurately match with the missing pieces so that we can copy those. Now that we've identified the pieces we want to make a mold of, I am using some avocado oil just from the kitchen to give it a thorough coating so that the glue will not stick to it. Once I coated it really well, I got my craft glue gun out. This is a low temp hot glue gun, and covered that whole area with hot glue. And remember, I lubricated it so it will not stick. And with the magic of the internet, we can fast forward to when the glue is dried. And I'm just going to gently peel the glue mold off, and here we have a perfect copy of that section of the frame. And I did the exact same thing on the other side for this section. Okay, to make new pieces, we're going to use this Quick Wood by JB Weld. It is a fast setting putty. Now, I should have worn gloves, you guys. I was foolish not to, and I did wash my hands frequently during this process, but please wear gloves. This stuff can be caustic and very irritating to your hands. Okay, so I cut a chunk off the end here, wrapped it back up, and started to mix it. And then I took my mold and I lubricated the mold again to make sure that this weld will not stick in it, because I just want the shape. I don't want it to stick in the mold. Once I felt I had the shape, I peeled it out, and now I've got a section of putty that is about the right size and shape, and that I can cut and press into the right spot. All right, now as you can see, I am paused on the screen to show you that this is not mixed enough. I made a huge mistake here, and I'm showing you the mistake so you don't do it. It should not look marbled like this. It should look completely even and homogeneous, like all mixed together to be one color, a real light tan color. I did not realize at this point that I had not mixed it thoroughly enough. So I go on, and I'm going to show you this. I go on to fit it into the frame and get it all cut. And spoiler alert, I end up having to redo this whole thing. But I don't show you the redoing, I just show you this section, okay? So when you do this yourself, mix it really well, and then follow these steps with your well-mixed putty. I'm holding up this piece to where I want it to go, and I'm going to kind of mark with my, I'm going to zoom you in here. Okay, I'm going to kind of mark where I need to cut off a section so that it will actually properly fit. So I've got my little plastic putty knife here, and I just kind of scored that spot, and I'm going to cut it off on an angle, because the gesso is kind of angled where it had broken off. And we're going to just kind of slide it underneath the section of frame here. My hope is that you'll never walk by a gesso frame or mirror again thinking that the poor thing cannot be redeemed. Now you'll be able to know how to fix a frame. All right, so I trimmed that down and I slid it in there, and molding it with my fingers did cause a little bit of distortion, so I just took the mold again and pressed it down, kind of like a cookie cutter, and refreshed the print So I've got that detail. And then I just took the putty knife and cleaned up those spots. Now, 3 days later, it still had not set because I didn't mix it properly. So I scraped it all out, cut off a new portion, mixed it properly, repeated the whole process that I just showed you, and lo and behold, in 10 minutes, it set perfectly. That's what it should look like. All's well that ends well, don't make my mistake. So these are the supplies that I'm going to use to re-gild, age, and texturize this piece. And I will list all of these below in the drop down. I've got a dark furniture wax. I suspect you could use any dark wax, but the one that I have is by this brand called Renaissance. I have Gilding Wax that is in a bright gold, and this is by the company Jolie. And I have Liquid Leaf in the color Classic Gold. And just a note about the finish and the patina on the original piece. There's good patina and there's not so good patina. And this one, though you cannot really tell in the video, it had gotten really weird. There was some sort of orangey color to it, and it had some pitting. It was very uneven, and there was some really dark spots, especially up by the bow. I had no idea how I was going to make this all fit together without redoing the whole thing. I just don't have the artistic chops to do that, which is why I painted over the whole thing. So I know there might be some patina lovers out there who are screaming at me for painting over it, but you just have to trust me. It was not the kind of patina that we want. See there, you can see how dark the patina was. And again, it looks pretty on screen, but it really was not very attractive up close. This Liquid Leaf is incredible. It just glides on so smoothly. And just a note, I did keep recapping it and remixing it because it does kind of separate, so just keep that in mind. So once I had the whole frame gilded with the Liquid Leaf, I got out my dark furniture wax, and I used so little that I literally just took the top off and was using what was in the lid. And I was using a very destroyed brush that I've used a ton of times, and it was kind of a wreck. So what worked the best was to take a very scant amount, as though I were dry brushing, and just go in these fine details and the crevices and kind of scrub it in there where there would be dirt and dust and age. Instead of going all over everything, it worked best to focus on these smaller areas. I made some circular motions, I gently scrubbed it back and forth, and I worked one small section at a time so that I could kind of rub it on. And then I took a scrap cloth and I just kind of wiped off the excess and rubbed in the dark bits into the crevices a little bit more, kind of working it in. I was being really light-handed here, even though it looks like quite a bit. It just goes such a long way. And you can always add more, but it's hard to wipe it off when you've put like too much on. I just kept going like this and adding back in that aging and that depth that the original piece had. And I have to tell you guys, I've had a really rough few months and my schedule has not been my own, and I've not been myself in terms of my health and things. And so this was just such a nice project to like let myself get absorbed in and enjoy. And it was nice to pull this little mirror out of my collection and bring it back to life. I tried to make this tutorial as thorough and educational as I could while also keeping it interesting, so I hope you're enjoying this. It's so satisfying to bring things back that look like they've been totally wrecked. So once I finished with the dark wax on the whole frame, I came back in with the Gilding Wax. This is a very bright, cool gold. It really complements the warmer Liquid Leaf. And I was using a small flat tip brush so that I had good control, and using just the bare minimum of this product, very light-handed, and it blended really nicely with the wax that was already in place, the darker wax. So this light wax just melded with it and added that extra pop of dimension. Remember that dark draws your eye in deeper, so that dark wax causes that depth and dimension, and the bright light areas of the Gilding Wax adds height for your eye. So we're adding these multi-layered effects back to this piece, and I gotta say, I love the way that it turned out. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. I know exactly where this beautiful mirror is going to go. You're just gonna have to stick with me if you want to see it in its final location in a future video. I have to say, looking at the final product, I don't think you can tell where there was any damage to begin with. So I hope you enjoyed that video today and maybe you learned something. Maybe you'll be able to pick up a beautiful old antique mirror or frame at an estate sale or at a garage sale or the thrift store and turn it into something beautiful. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you all again in the next video. Bye!